Buying a house just from watching a video? Sounds too bloody good to be true, doesn't it? You're probably looking at this wrinkled old mug on your screen, thinking I've completely lost the plot. How on earth can an ordinary old boy, sitting out in his backyard shed, making a completely free 10-minute video, expect to walk away with a fully paid-off house in Sydney and a comfortable retirement? It sounds like a total con, doesn't it? A complete load of codswallop. You reckon it is just another piece of useless internet rubbish, designed to waste your bloody time and pull the wool over your eyes. But do me a massive favour, cobber. Give me just 30 seconds of your undivided attention. I'm going to completely pull back the curtain and show you exactly how this digital cash machine works. This is 100% the cold hard truth here, because frankly, I am far too old to waste my remaining breath spinning yarns, playing games, or telling you lies. So, let's stop guessing and look at how the numbers actually work nowadays. Most people in our generation still think making videos on the internet is just a silly, unproductive hobby for lazy teenagers. But let me tell you, it is a massive global business. When millions of people click to watch a video, massive Australian corporate giants like Woolies, Coles and the CommBank pour millions into the platform. They pay cold hard cash to plaster their high-budget advertise right across the screen. And here is a bit of genuine local pride for us. Australia has one of the highest revenue per mil, or what the industry calls RPM, rates on the entire planet. Global advertisers are absolutely desperate to talk to hard-working, mature Aussies, because older Aussies like us actually have real assets, solid superannuation savings, and $1 to spend. And what does this mean for the numbers? Well, videos in this niche can easily pull 15 to 20 US dollars per 1,000 views. And if a video runs a bit longer, say 12 or 15 minutes, giving us plenty of room to have a proper long chat without rushing, that average rate can easily push up to 25 or even 30 US dollars per 1,000 views. Let's stop talking in abstract terms, pull out the calculator, and run the hard data through the system. Let's keep our estimates incredibly conservative to be safe and stick to a modest average of 20 US dollars per 1,000 views. Now let's apply that exact mathematical formula directly to this whole experiment. We take our population of 27 million Australians. We divide that 27 million by 1,000 and then we multiply it by that $20 advertising rate. Do the maths on that and it brings our grand total to 540,000 US dollars. But we don't buy our weekly groceries at Woolies or pay our local council rates in American greenbacks, do we? No way. We have to convert that digital international cash back home to our local currency. Once you convert it back into Aussie dollars, that 540,000 American bucks instantly transforms into a whopping $890,000 in cash, sitting straight in your bank account. $890,000 in cash, generated out of thin air from a single, solitary piece of video content. Right about now, you are probably leaning back in your armchair, smiling and thinking, fair dinkum, the old boy has actually cracked the system. He is heading straight down to the local real estate agent tomorrow morning, buying himself a nice little brick veneer place, throwing his feet up and sailing straight into a golden, stress-free retirement. Well, hold your horses, mate. Do not go popping the champagne corks just yet. Put down the glasses, because this is exactly where our pleasant little mathematical story takes a brutal turn, straight into the harsh economic reality of modern Australia. So, there I am, chest puffed out like a proud old rooster, strutting around with $890,000 in cash, burning a hole in my pocket. I honestly thought I was the king of the castle. I took a stroll straight into the inner ring of Sydney, foolishly believing I could easily secure myself a nice, modest little retirement spot close to the harbour, or maybe a quiet, leafy street in the inner west like Balmain or Newtown. But let me tell you, the Sydney property market took one look at my fat stack of cash and gave me a swift kick out the bloody door. Tell him he's dreaming, right? The absolute madness out there is enough to make you spit chips, mates. The median house price in central Sydney has completely blown past 1.6 million bucks. Let that sink in for a moment. 1.6 million bucks just to get your foot in the door. That price tag caps out at nearly double my entire hard-earned internet fortune. Sure, my nearly $900,000 cash is more than enough to cover a 20% deposit, the extortionate stamp duty fees, and the legal costs. But here is the catch. No bank in this country is going to hand an old retiree a mortgage for the remaining 700 grand when you do not have a steady job. Without a bank willing to lend you the rest, it is a total lockout for a cash buyer trying to live near the city. So, I had to swallow my pride, use my old noggin, and make a brutal, realistic compromise. I packed my bags, walked away from the harbour views, hopped on the train, and headed dead west. I travelled 50, 60 and 70 kilometres away from the city centre, right down to the outer edges of Greater Sydney, out past the far western fringes of Penrith, Campbelltown and Richmond. Now, out here on the outer ring, the property landscape finally shifts gears. It stops being a playground for international billionaires. For about $850,000, you can actually still find a modest, older 3-bedroom brick veneer home that needs a bit of love, or a neat little modern townhouse with a tiny courtyard to park your barbecue. I found a place, handed over the 850 grand, paid the previous owner in full without needing to speak to a bank manager, and walked away with the keys rattling in my pocket. And another thing, no crippling mortgage, no monthly bank interest payments hanging over my head like a guillotine, and absolutely zero chance of the Reserve Bank of Australia ruining my week with another interest rate hike. I was completely debt-free within Greater Sydney. Sounds pretty bloody good, right? Well, that is what I honestly, truly thought to myself before the bloody ink on the contract even had time to dry. There I was, sitting out on my brand new veranda, enjoying a peaceful cuppa in the morning sun, thinking I had completely beaten the system. I thought I was home free. But when you own a piece of property lock, stock and barrel in this country, you quickly learn a very painful, bloody lesson. You never truly stop paying the government for the absolute privilege of breathing on your own land. Within the very first quarter of moving in, the local council jokers and the water authorities come marching right down your driveway with their hands out, demanding their cut. When you are trying to survive on a fixed retirement income or trying to carefully ration a finite pool of life savings, handing over upwards of 3 grand every single year just to have your rubbish bins collected and your pipes connected to the main Sydney water grid is a massive ongoing kick in the teeth to your weekly budget. You are essentially renting your own paid-off home back from the state. And here is another problem currently plaguing every single mature household across the nation: home and contents insurance. Because we had to pack up and head right out to the far western fringes of Greater Sydney just to afford a roof over our heads, closer to the dry bushland and the unpredictable floodplains, the insurance mobs automatically stamp your file as a high-risk area. Extreme weather events, bushfire threats, and flash flooding risks have given these insurance mobs the perfect excuse to skyrocket premiums across New South Wales, completely out of control over the last couple of years. You are looking at an easy 4.5 grand a year just to keep the roof over your head protected from disaster. If your premium doubles overnight without warning, like so many cash-strapped pensioners have recently experienced, your beautifully planned retirement budget is thrown into complete disarray. You are paying top dollar just for the peace of mind that a summer storm won't wipe you out. But here is the real hidden kicker about setting up camp 70 kilometres outside the centre of the city: the tyranny of distance. When you get to my age, you occasionally need to travel back into town to visit the medical specialists at the major inner-city hospitals, check up on your children, or meet up with your old workmates for a cold middy at the pub. And when you do, you run smack bang into the most expensive toll road network on the face of the earth. Driving down the M4, the M5, or the M7 completely decimates your spare pocket money. It is absolute highway robbery. In a heavy week, you can easily see $120 sucked straight out of your linked account by those bloody toll cameras. Now, thankfully, the New South Wales government has that $60 weekly toll cap rebate in place for personal accounts. But even after you claim that back, you are still watching over 3 grand a year vanish into thin air just for the basic right to drive around your own city. Transurban gets fat while your retirement pool drains dry. And heaven forbid something actually goes structurally wrong with the place. Remember, this is an older outer suburban house we bought, and eventually the old copper plumbing is going to burst, or the electrical wiring is going to go on the blink. Welcome to the wonderful world of the modern Australian tradie tax. Trying to get a licensed plumber or a sparky to drive all the way out to the outer edges of Sydney means you are going to pay absolute top dollar, with call-out fees just to turn up to your front gate and hourly rates hitting well over $150 an hour. A single leaking pipe hidden under your concrete slab or a broken hot water system will completely wipe out your weekly grocery budget in the blink of an eye. You will be living on $2 2-minute noodles for a month just to pay off the bloke with the wrench. So, let's lay all our cards face up on the table and look at the grand final tally of this little national experiment. If every single one of our 27 million citizens actually logs on and watches this video, the platform mechanics prove I will absolutely fulfill my word to the letter. I will buy a physical house right inside Greater Sydney with the cash generated, completely free of any bank debt. But as we have just broken down with the hard, undeniable numbers, simply owning the brick and mortar is only half the battle won. Between your ongoing council rates, your water utility bills, your sky-high insurance premiums, your weekly toll bills, and general structural upkeep, you are looking at an ongoing running cost of nearly 15 grand every single year just to keep the lights on and stay alive in a house you supposedly own lock, stock, and barrel. Now let's be entirely fair dinkum with each other for a second. Gathering 27 million views on a single video is a massive ask. It is like trying to catch lightning in a bottle. And I am not here to feed you a load of fairy tales or try to cheat the internet algorithms. So, let's look at a much more realistic backup plan. What happens if we do not hit the entire population? But say, just 1 million of you beautiful, hard-working Aussies watch this video. Well, the maths tells us that still pulls in roughly 20 grand US in ad revenue. If that happens, this old boy is going to use that cash to take a well-deserved 1-month holiday over to Vietnam to escape the Sydney winter. And while I am over there enjoying a cold beer, I will personally buy 100 unique souvenir keychains, bring them back home, and ship them straight to the front doors of 100 random Aussie viewers who supported the channel. I am not signing a legally binding blood contract here, but if the numbers clock over that 1 million mark, this old bloke keeps his word. Bloody oath he does. So what does this mean? It brings us straight to the ultimate, ironclad, non-negotiable rule of retirement in modern Australia. A paid-off home is an exceptional shield against poverty, but it is completely useless if you are cash poor. To survive retirement comfortably in this country without losing your mind, you cannot just rely on a brick asset that doesn't generate cash. You can't eat bricks and mortar when times get tough. You absolutely must have a solid super balance or a reliable government-age pension backing you up every single fortnight to clear those unavoidable, recurring everyday living costs. Now, just to be entirely clear for the eagle-eyed regulators and suits listening out there, this content is strictly for educational purposes, entertainment, and social commentary. It is absolutely 100% not financial advice, and it is not an investment roadmap. I am not a financial advisor. I am just an old bloke in an Akubra hat sitting on the internet, sharing some hard macroeconomic truths over a hot cuppa. Do your own homework before you make any big moves with your cash. So, my fellow Aussies, the ball is now sitting entirely in your court. We know the maths checks out perfectly to the single dollar. We know the exact brutal budget required to pull this off. Now all we need is the crowd to back it up and see if we can move the needle. If you want to see if an ordinary old boy can actually survive the hidden financial traps of the Sydney fringe completely mortgage-free, or if you just want a chance to get a souvenir keychain sent straight to your mailbox from Vietnam, share this video around to your mates. Drop the link straight into your family group chats on Facebook, text it to your neighbours, and let's see if we can actually make internet history and pull off the ultimate Australian housing experiment. A giant thank you for listening to an old boy ramble, mates. Look after yourselves, and I'll catch you all on the next video. Cheers.